This story is a continuation of the previous chapter. 2 months later, December 2024. Christmas was approaching. It was snowing in Boston, and I was sitting at home, looking out at my garden where the roses were now dormant. The phone rang. It was Thomas. Mom, we want to have Christmas dinner at our place. You, me, Patricia, small, intimate. Will you come? I hesitated. Thomas, I. Mom, please. Patricia has changed so much. I want you to see her. And I want to spend Christmas with you. All right, I finally said. I'll come. If this story touched your heart, click subscribe and let me know in the comments which city or country you're listening from. I'm grateful to everyone who comments. Christmas Day. When I arrived at Thomas and Patricia's house, Patricia opened the door. She was makeup-free, wearing a simple sweater and jeans. Her hair was tied back in a simple ponytail. For the first time, she looked natural. Margaret, she said quietly. Welcome, please come in. There were changes in the house. The fancy paintings had been removed, replaced with simple, heartfelt family photos. The expensive vases were gone, replaced with small, handmade decorations. Did you do these? I asked, pointing to the handmade stars. Patricia smiled shyly. Yes. At first, they looked terrible, but therapy suggested I take up a hobby to reduce stress, so I tried crafts. Thomas came out of the kitchen with a bottle of wine. Mom, just in time, the table is set. We sat down. But this time, I wasn't in the corner. I was at the head of the table, at Patricia's insistence. The meal began quietly. It wasn't strange, but it was an intense silence. It was as if everyone wanted to say something but didn't know how to start. Finally, Patricia spoke. Margaret, I want to show you something. She got up and took a folder from the nightstand. My therapy homework. My therapist showed me a letter I wrote to you. But then she said, a letter alone isn't enough. A real apology is an action. And I did something. She opened the folder. Inside were photos. Patricia was volunteering at a nursing home. She was reading books to the elderly, talking to them, playing games with them. Every week, on Wednesdays and Saturdays, I volunteer here, Patricia said. I especially take care of elderly people without families, and every time I talk to them, I think of you. I think about how I treat them, and I feel ashamed. I looked at the photos. There was a genuine smile on Patricia's face. Not fake, real. Why? I asked. Why are you doing this? Because, she said, her eyes welling up, because what I did to you can't be undone. But maybe by being kind to others, maybe I can forgive myself. Thomas spoke up. Mom, Patricia has changed. Really. She's not that flashy woman anymore. She's real now. I looked at Patricia. Are you happy? I asked. She thought. I used to look for happiness in how I appeared to others. Brands, positions, other people's approval. But now I find happiness when I look at myself in the mirror, and I can say, you're a good person. This is new and beautiful. Have you ever experienced such a transformation? Or seen someone change like that? Patricia, I said, I forgive you. Patricia lifted her head, her eyes wide with surprise. What? I forgive you, because you've changed. You didn't take the easy way out. You learned to stand on your own 2 feet, and most importantly, you accepted your mistakes. Patricia started crying. Thomas did too, and so did I. But, I said, forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. I still remember the old Patricia, and if that Patricia comes back, I'm leaving too. Understood? Understood, said Patricia. And I promise that Patricia is dead. The new Patricia is better. After dinner, while drinking coffee, Patricia asked, Margaret, can I ask you something? Why did you give up being a doctor? I mean, really, why? I set down my cup. Because, Patricia, I made a choice, career or family. And I chose family. But do you regret it? Sometimes, I admitted. Sometimes I miss the operating rooms, that adrenaline, saving lives. But then I look at Thomas and think, I saved lives. But more importantly, I raised a life, my son's life. Thomas took my hand. And you did it perfectly, Mom. No, I said. I wasn't perfect. I made mistakes, but I did my best. And that's enough. Patricia spoke up. I also want to be a mother one day. But I'm afraid. I'm afraid of becoming like my mother. It's good that you're afraid, I said. Because fear means awareness. You remember your mother, her mistakes. That's the first step to not repeating them. But what if I'm not enough? Patricia, I said softly, no mother ever feels good enough. We all constantly question ourselves. But you know what? Children don't want perfect parents. They want real parents. Parents who love them, accept their mistakes, and try to be a little better every day. Patricia smiled. For the first time, I felt a genuine warmth toward her. January 2025. The new year had begun, and an unexpected call came in. Dr. Holloway? This is Dr. Richard Chen from Johns Hopkins Hospital. My heart raced. Yes? We're having a small crisis at the hospital. Our chief cardiac surgeon can't perform surgery due to a sudden health issue, and next week we have a very critical surgery. A 6-year-old child with a complex heart anomaly. The surgery will take 8 hours. It's very difficult. And we need your help. But I'm retired, I said. I haven't performed surgery in 28 years. We know, but Dr. Holloway, there are only 3 people in the country who can perform this surgery. One is in Paris, another is ill, and you are here, in Boston. Please. This child's life is in your hands. After hanging up the phone, I sat there with trembling hands. Surgery? Me? At 68 years old? I called Thomas. Son, I need to ask you something. That evening, Thomas and Patricia were sitting across from me. I got an offer from Johns Hopkins, I said. Surgery, a critical case. Thomas's eyes widened. Mom, you're going to have surgery? I don't know. I'm old. My hands aren't as steady as they used to be. What if I make a mistake? Patricia spoke up. Margaret, you're Dr. Margaret Holloway. 3,247 successful surgeries. A 97.3% success rate. If you're thinking about making a mistake, you're the best person for this child. Thomas added, Mom, you have to do this. You were born to save lives. But I'm scared, I admitted. I haven't performed surgery in a long time. Fear is normal, Patricia said. But courage doesn't exist without fear. Courage is acting despite fear. I looked at them. My son and daughter-in-law. Both of them believed in me. All right, I said. I'll do it. I was standing in the operating room. For the first time in 10 years, the team knew me. Some were my students. Some had heard of me from legends. The surgery began. Little Emma, 6 years old, was lying on the table. Her heart was complicated. 3 separate anomalies, all connected. The first incision. My hands trembled slightly. Stay calm, Margaret, I whispered. You can do this. The clock ticked on. 6 hours, 7 hours. The team was tired. But I was alive. As if I'd never stopped. Every movement, every stitch felt natural. By the 8th hour, the final stitch, the heart was repaired. Now the most critical moment, restarting it. Are we ready? I asked. We're ready, Dr. Holloway. All right now. Electric shock. Once. Twice. And then the heart began to beat. Regular, strong, healthy. The operating room applauded. Good job, I said. Emma will live. Outside the hospital, Emma's parents rushed in. Doctor, our daughter? Emma is fine, I said. The surgery was successful. Her heart is strong now. She'll need a few weeks to recover, but she'll live. Her mother collapsed to the ground, crying. Her father hugged me. Thank you. Thank you. You, you're like an angel to us. An angel? No, I'm just a doctor doing my job. But in that moment I realized I had missed this. Saving lives, making a difference. On the way home, Thomas and Patricia were waiting for me at the hospital. Mom? Thomas ran over. How did it go? It was successful, I said. Emma will live. Patricia cried. You're amazing, Margaret. You're a real hero. No, I said. I'm just me. February 2025. A month after Emma's surgery, something unexpected happened. Local news channels picked up the story. 6 8-year-old retired surgeon saves 6-year-old girl's life. And then, national news. And then, it went viral. It wasn't my story. It was my and Patricia's story. Because someone, Michael, to be precise, had shared the story of that evening's dinner. The bride insulted her mother-in-law. But the mother-in-law turned out to be a famous surgeon. The internet exploded. Social media was flooded with my and Patricia's story. Some criticized Patricia. What kind of person treats someone like that? Others praised me. Now that's a real woman, strong in silence. But the most interesting comment was this. Perhaps the most important lesson we all need to learn. Never judge anyone by their appearance. Patricia called me, crying. Margaret, everyone sees me as a bad person. I'm getting death threats. People are saying I'm a horrible person. Patricia, stop, I said. What are you doing right now? The real you, the you who is here now. What are you doing? I'm working at a nursing home. I'm going to therapy. I'm trying to change. Then, I said, then what others think doesn't matter. You're changing for yourself, not for them. But it's so hard, Margaret. Everyone is judging me. Yes, I said. Now you understand. You judged me for 3 years. Now you're being judged. And how does that feel? Silence. Then sobs. Horrible. It feels awful. Good, I said, but gently. Good, because this pain will make you a better person. Pain is the best teacher. An interview offer. A week later, a major news channel offered me an interview. Dr. Holloway, we want to hear your story. The tension between you and my daughter-in-law, then the reconciliation. People need to hear this. I hesitated. I don't want to make Patricia a target. But Dr. Holloway, said the producer, maybe this is a chance for Patricia to be heard? Maybe she can tell her own story? Show people that she's changed? I thought about it. Then I called Patricia. There's an interview offer, together, you and me. If you want, I'll turn it down. But if we accept, you'll have a chance to tell your story too. Patricia was silent for a moment. Margaret, am I ready? I don't know, I said honestly. But none of us ever feel completely ready. The question is, do you want to do this? Yes, she finally said. I want to. I want to show people that lessons can be learned from mistakes. Interview day, March 2025. The studio was bright, cameras everywhere. Patricia and I sat side by side, for the first time, like a team. The host asked, Dr. Holloway, Patricia treated you very badly for 3 years. Why did you stay silent? Because, I said, I was hopeful. As a mother, I wanted my son's marriage to be happy. And I also thought that maybe Patricia's behavior stemmed from her own insecurities. Maybe she would change over time. But she didn't change, said the host. No, she didn't change until that dinner party, but then she did. The host turned to Patricia. Patricia, what do you think now? About your behavior that night? Patricia took a deep breath. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed every day. What I did to Margaret. It's unforgivable. But I'm not expecting forgiveness. I want to change. And every day, I try to be a little better person. How are you changing? Therapy, volunteer work, and most importantly, honesty. I don't lie to anyone anymore, not even to myself. The host looked at me. Dr. Holloway, you forgave Patricia. Why? Because, I said, because forgiveness isn't for her. It's for me. Holding a grudge is like drinking poison and waiting for someone else to die. I didn't want to drink that poison. And besides, Patricia really has changed. I've seen the change, and we should reward change. The host asked, "What's your message? To the viewers?" Patricia and I looked at each other. Then I spoke. My message is this. Never judge anyone by their appearance. That quiet woman might be a famous scientist. That cleaner might speak 4 languages. That old man might be a war hero. We all have stories inside us, and respect waits to hear those stories. Patricia added, and my message is, to make mistakes is to be human, but to rise above your mistakes takes courage. I made a mistake, but I rose above it, and if I can do it, anyone can. After the interview was published, and the reaction was incredible. Hundreds of thousands of comments. Some said, "This is my story. I judged my mother-in-law too." Others said, "Patricia bravely confessed. Congratulations." But the most touching comment was, "I'm 82 years old, and everyone thinks I'm just an old person. But I'm a former NASA engineer. Dr. Holloway's story gave me hope. Maybe I can make my voice heard too." Patricia cried as she read this comment. "Margaret, look, we touched people." "Yes," I said. "And that's the true power of change." April 2025. Johns Hopkins made me another offer. Dr. Holloway, a part-time consultant position. Train young surgeons, provide consultation on complex cases. Not full-time surgery, but make a contribution. I told Patricia and Thomas about it over dinner. We were having it regularly every week now. "Mom, take it," said Thomas. "You love this work." Patricia added, "Margaret, you can teach young doctors so much. Not just medicine, but empathy, respect, humility." I smiled. "You two have changed so much. I look at you, and I'm happy." Thomas took Patricia's hand. "We've changed too, Mom. You taught us. The hard way, but you taught us." "And now," Patricia said shyly, "now we have some news too." "What news?" Patricia and Thomas looked at each other. We're thinking about getting pregnant. But first, Margaret, we wanted to ask you, what do you think? Can I be a good mother?" My heart swelled. "Patricia," I said, taking her hand, "you're already trying to be a good person. That's the first step to being a good mother. And I'll be here to support you, but without pressure, because you have to find your own way." "Thank you," she whispered. May 2025, FAR, Johns Hopkins. My first day. Young surgeons gathered, 15 people, all bright, eager. "Dr. Holloway," one said, "you're a legend. We learned the Holloway protocol in medical school. Will you teach us your tactics?" "Tactics?" I said. "Sure. But first, let me tell you a story. There was a bride who belittled her mother-in-law, and the mother-in-law endured it silently. Why? Because love sometimes means silence, but at some point you have to break the silence, because respect is the most fundamental human right. The young surgeons looked stunned. What does this have to do with medicine?" "Everything," I said. "Medicine isn't just technical. Medicine is humanity. You're not treating patients, you're treating people. Those patients are mothers, fathers, children. They have stories, and if you only see them as cases, you can't be a good doctor." A young female surgeon asked, "But how? How can we be both technical and human?" "Balance," I said. The first time I performed surgery, I was 29 years old. The patient was a 62-year-old woman with 3 children. Technically, everything was perfect during the operation, but then, when she woke up, she held my hand and asked, "Thank you, but will I see my grandchildren?" And I understood. She wasn't just a heart. She was a mother, a grandmother, a story. And that day, I learned to perform surgery not just technically, but with my heart as well. Silence, then applause. There you go, I said. There you have the real Holloway protocol. Technique plus empathy equals true healing. June 2025. A special visitor. Someone came into my office. Emma. Little Emma, the 6-year-old girl I operated on. Now a little stronger, a little more vibrant. Dr. Holloway, she shouted, running into my arms. You saved me. Hello, Emma, I said, my eyes welling up. How are you? I'm fine. Look. There was a small scar on her chest, but she was happy. My mom says this scar is my superpower. You gave me a new heart. No, Emma, I said. I just repaired your heart. That heart was always yours. It just needed a little help. Emma's mother came in, holding a box. Dr. Holloway, we brought you something. Emma made it. I opened the box. Inside was a drawing. A drawing Emma had made. Me, in my surgical gown, holding Emma's hand. And written on it, Dr. Holloway, my hero. I cried. There, in my office, in front of that little girl and her mother, I cried. Thank you, Emma, I said. This is the most beautiful gift. August 2025. And good news from Patricia. The phone rang. Patricia, excited. Margaret, I'm pregnant. My heart skipped a beat. Really? Yes, it's still early, 6 weeks. But Margaret, I'm so scared. What if I can't be a good mother? Patricia, I said calmly, every mother is scared. But you're a strong woman. You've learned from your mistakes. You've changed. And most importantly, you're asking, what if I can't do it? That's the first step to success. Will you help me when the baby comes? Of course, I said. I'll be here, as a grandmother, to support you. But Patricia, this is your journey. I can only be a guide. That's enough, she said. That's enough. October 2025. Exactly 1 year later. A year had passed since that evening. Exactly 1 year since that dinner. Patricia was about to give birth. For 9 months I was by her side every step of the way, but carefully, but at a distance. Because the balance between a mother and a mother-in-law is a fine line. Thomas called the hospital. Mom, Patricia is giving birth. Come right away. I arrived at the hospital. Patricia was in the delivery room. Thomas was by her side. Margaret, Patricia shouted, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so scared. I held her hand. Don't be afraid. You're strong, and I'm here. 3 hours later, a small cry, and then silence, and then a baby's cry. The nurse came, showed the baby. It's a girl, healthy, beautiful. Thomas was crying. Patricia was crying. So was I. Patricia looked at me. Margaret, we've given her a name. What name? Emma Margaret, she said. Your name and the name of the little girl you saved, because you taught me the true meaning of life. And we want our daughter to be strong, kind, and humble like you. I cried. There, in the delivery room, I held my newborn granddaughter in my arms and cried. Hello, Emma Margaret, I whispered. I'm your grandmother, and I promise you, you will be loved very much. By your mother, by your father, and by me. Little Emma looked at me. Those blue eyes, newly opened to the world, curious, innocent, and in that moment I understood. Life was a complete circle. I had saved a life, and now a new life was in my arms. 2 weeks later, Patricia's house. Patricia was tired, but happy. The baby was crying, there was no sleep, there was chaos, but there was a light in her eyes. Margaret, she said one day while breastfeeding Emma, I noticed something. What? A year ago, I called you old and stupid. But now, I look at you and I see you are the smartest, strongest woman. And I want to be like you. Patricia, I said, sitting down beside her, you're already strong in your own way. You don't need to be like me. Just be the best Patricia you can be. But how did you do it? How did you stay silent for 3 years? If I acted like that for a week, I'd go crazy. I smiled. Because, Patricia, I knew something you didn't. What? Silence isn't weakness. Silence is sometimes the most powerful weapon. I stayed silent because I was waiting for the right time, and when the time came, I spoke. And when I spoke, the world changed. Patricia thought. So you were strategic? Yes, I said. I wasn't just a doctor, I was a strategist. I knew that if I had told you on the first day, I'm a Johns Hopkins surgeon, you might have been impressed. But you wouldn't have changed. Because change must come from within, not be forced from the outside. And I changed, Patricia said quietly, because you gave me the opportunity. You let me make my mistakes, and then you let me see the consequences. Exactly. Emma started crying. Patricia looked at her, gently rocking her. Shh, sweetheart, Mom's here. And in that moment, that simple moment, I understood. Patricia was different now. She was no longer that flashy, insecure woman. She was now a mother. A real mother. November 2025. I gave a seminar at Johns Hopkins. The topic, the balance between empathy and technique in medicine. Among the audience were not only young doctors, but also hospital administrators, nurses, and even some patients. Today, I won't be talking about technique, I began. Today, I'll tell you a story. My story. And I told it, that dinner night. Patricia's insults, the moment I put my resume on the table, and what happened next. So, I asked the audience, what did I do that night? I just told the truth. But why? Why did I wait 3 years? A young doctor stood up. Because you were waiting for the right time? Yes, but more than that, I wanted to teach a lesson. Not just to Patricia, but to everyone. There were 6 other people at the table that evening. They all watched silently as Patricia humiliated me. None of them intervened. Why? Because I was just an old woman. They thought I wasn't worth defending. A patient, an old man, stood up. I've been through the same thing. I'm a retired military pilot. But at the supermarket, someone said to me, "Hurry up, old man. There's a line behind you." And nobody said anything. Because I'm just old. There, I said. There you have it. As we age, we become invisible. But invisibility isn't weakness. Sometimes invisibility is our greatest strength. Because when people don't see us, they show their true colors. The room applauded. A nurse asked, "Dr. Holloway, but you forgave Patricia. Why? Most people wouldn't have forgiven her." Because, I said, because revenge is sweet, but forgiveness is liberating. I could have taken revenge on Patricia. I could have ruined her career. But what then? Would I have been happy? No. Because happiness doesn't come from destroying others. Happiness comes from finding your own peace. But she treated you so badly. Yes, but she's changed now. And if we punish change, no one will dare to change. I gave Patricia a chance. And she earned that chance. Because she really tried. What do you think? Is giving people a second chance always the right thing to do? Or are some mistakes unforgivable? December 2025. That seminar was recorded. And a student, uploaded it to YouTube. Dr. Holloway's incredible story, Silence, Power, and Forgiveness. Within a week, 5 million views. Within 2 weeks, 20 million. The comments poured in. I cried. This story changed my life. I owe my mother-in-law an apology. I judged her too. I'm 75 years old, and this video gave me hope. We seniors aren't invisible. I admire Patricia's courage. Admitting your mistakes is very difficult. But one comment in particular caught my attention. I work at Chamberlain Medical Devices. Patricia Holloway used to work here. Yes, she made a mistake. But now I hear she has changed. Maybe we should give her a chance? Doctor, Holloway forgave her. Maybe we should too? 2 days later, a call from Patricia. She was crying, but it was a happy cry. "Margaret, Chamberlain called me." What did they say? The CEO apologized, he said. We made a mistake. Instead of firing you, we should have helped you. And now they're offering me a new position. What position? Employee development and empathy consultant. So, I'll be teaching people empathy, respect, and awareness within the company. Margaret, this is perfect. This is exactly what I need. I smiled. See, Patricia? You've changed, and the world noticed. But I was just imitating you. You taught me. No, I said. I showed you the way, but you were the one who walked it. This success is yours. The 24th of December 2025. Christmas Eve. Thomas and Patricia's house was different this time. The decorations were simple but heartfelt. There was no expensive champagne, but there were homemade cookies. Patricia's homemade cookies. Welcome, Margaret, Patricia said as she opened the door. Emma was in her arms, wearing a little Christmas hat. Hello, my granddaughter, I said, kissing Emma. You've grown. I stepped inside, and I was shocked. On the wall, a large frame. Inside, my old photo from Johns Hopkins, in a surgical gown, serious, professional. Underneath, the words, Dr. Margaret Holloway, mother, grandmother, hero. I couldn't find the words. Thomas came over to me. Mom, this is our gift to you. You've always been so humble, but we won't be humble anymore. We'll show the world. You're our hero. I cried. I cried again. Dinner was wonderful. Simple but satisfying. The turkey was made by Patricia, the salad was made by Thomas, and the dessert was made using my recipe. During dinner, Patricia raised a glass. I'd like to make a toast. Everyone fell silent. Margaret, she said, her voice trembling. A year ago, I called you stupid. That was the biggest mistake I ever made. But you taught me the greatest lesson. Forgiveness is strength, change is courage, and love is everything. She raised her glass. This year, I became a new person, and it's because of you. Thank you, not just for forgiving me, but for giving me the chance to change. Thomas raised his glass too. Mom, you've always been my hero. But this year, you became everyone's hero. I love you. I love you too, I said. Both of you. Emma started crying. Patricia smiled. Ah, it's time. Time to nurse. She stood up, took Emma, but as she was leaving, she turned back. Margaret, will you come with me? I want to see something. In Emma's room. The room was simple but beautiful. Pink, but not overly so. Pictures on the wall. Family photos, but simple. Patricia began nursing Emma. Margaret, I want to tell you something. Yes? Today, while I was watching Emma, I noticed something. She looks at me. She trusts me. And I thought, what will I teach her? What kind of mother will I be? You'll be a wonderful mother, I said. But how do I know? What if I turn out like my mother? What if I criticize her, judge her? Patricia, I said, taking her hand, you're asking those questions. That's proof you're already a good mother. Bad mothers don't ask those questions. But I'm still scared. Fear is normal. But Patricia, remember this. You've changed. You're not the old Patricia anymore. You're now honest, kind, and mindful. And Emma is very lucky. Because she has a strong mother like you. Patricia cried. Thank you, Margaret, for everything. At that moment, Emma stopped nursing, looked at me. Her little hand reached out, held my finger, and smiled. Look, Patricia said, she loves you. I love her too, I said, and I'll be here for her, and for you. Johns Hopkins, a special ceremony. Johns Hopkins held a special ceremony for me, the Dr. Margaret Holloway Honor Award for Lifetime Achievement. When I stepped onto the stage, the hall gave me a standing ovation. Hundreds of doctors, nurses, students, and in the front row, Thomas, Patricia, and little Emma, now 7 months old, watching everything around her with curious eyes. Thank you, I began. This award isn't just for me. This award is for every elderly person, every overlooked individual, every silent hero. I performed surgeries for 28 years. I saved 3,247 lives. But do you know what my most important surgery was? Operating on my own pride, learning to be silent, learning to forgive, and most importantly, learning to reward change. The audience listened, silently. A year ago, someone asked me, "Why did you forgive Patricia?" I said, "Because forgiveness is liberating. But the real reason is this, because Patricia had the courage to change, and courage should always be rewarded." Patricia was crying in the front row. Now, Patricia is here, and she teaches empathy to people at Chamberlain Medical Devices. Every day she tells hundreds of employees, never judge anyone by their appearance, and that is more valuable than my 28 years as a surgeon. Applause. Because, I continued, because I only saved 3,247 lives. But Patricia? She's changing thousands of people's hearts, with empathy, respect, awareness, and that's the most powerful surgery. The most powerful surgery. The room stood up. Patricia stood up too, with Emma in her arms, and walked toward me. She stepped onto the stage. "Margaret," she said into the microphone, "I want to give you something." She handed me an envelope. I opened it. Inside was a letter from Chamberlain. To Dr. Margaret Holloway, upon the recommendation of Patricia Holloway, we present the Empathy Advisor of the Year Award. Your story has inspired thousands of our employees, and we are grateful to you. Patricia. I couldn't find the words. "No, Margaret," she said. "This time, I'm thanking you for everything." And she hugged me. On stage, in front of hundreds of people, we embraced, mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, former enemies, now family. Emma, between us, smiled. Margaret's garden. The roses are still blooming, Boston autumn, golden. I'm 71 now. My hair is completely white, but my eyes are still bright. Emma, now 3 years old, is running in the garden. "Grandma, look, a butterfly." "Yes, dear," I say. "It's beautiful." Patricia and Thomas are preparing for a picnic. Every Sunday, we gather here. Simple, but precious. "Mom," says Thomas, "there's some news." "What news?" Patricia smiles. We're expecting our second baby." My heart skips a beat. "Really?" "Yes. And this time, it's a boy, and we've thought of a name for him." "What?" "Thomas Margaret Holloway," says Thomas. "Both me and you. Family tradition." My eyes well up. This is wonderful. Patricia sits down next to me. "Margaret, it's been 3 years. 3 years since that night. And every day I think, what if you hadn't put your resume on the table? What if you hadn't taught me? What would have happened?" I ask. "I'd still be that old Patricia, flashy, empty, unhappy. But now I'm real, and I'm happy." "I'm happy too," I say, "because you changed, and change is the most beautiful miracle." Emma comes over to us. "Grandma, are you a doctor?" "Yes, dear, I used to be." "Did you mend hearts?" "Yes." Emma thinks. "I'm going to be a doctor too, just like you." Patricia smiles. "Maybe a doctor, maybe something else. But Emma, here's what matters. Whoever you are, be kind, be respectful, and never, ever judge anyone by their appearance." "Why?" Emma asks. "Because," I say, taking Emma in my arms, "because sometimes the quietest people are the strongest. Sometimes the simplest people are the wisest. And sometimes love is shown not just with words, but with actions." Emma leans her head on my shoulder. "I love you, Grandma. I love you too, dear." That night, alone. After everyone has left, I sit in my garden. The stars are shining. The wind is blowing gently. I think, a year ago, I was just an old woman. Was I nothing? No. I was always Dr. Margaret Holloway. But the world didn't see me. And then, at a dinner party, I became visible. Not just through my resume, but through my character. Through forgiveness, through respect, through love. And now, Patricia has changed. Thomas has learned. Emma is growing. And me? I am at peace. Because the greatest success isn't operating on hearts. The greatest success is transforming souls. And I did it perhaps not for the last time, but this time in the most meaningful way. Dear viewers, what did this story teach you? Perhaps this: never judge anyone by their appearance. That old man might be a former astronaut. That cleaning lady might be a former teacher. That quiet neighbor might be a forgotten artist. We all have stories inside us, and respect doesn't wait to hear those stories. Respect is the most fundamental right that should be given to every person at all times. And forgiveness? Forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness is the greatest strength, because forgiveness liberates both yourself and the other person.